Shalom from Israel, it's Liette here, and today I have with me a box of matzah that we bought at the store, and your Hebrew word of the week to help strengthen your faith is chametz, which means leaven. This matzah here that I have becomes our daily manna, our daily bread, unleavened bread, during the week of Pesach, that we're commanded to remove all the leaven from our homes, and we basically live off of matzah. So this is what matzah looks like here, and matzah is actually really profound because the matzah itself is a picture of our Messiah, Yeshua. As you can see here, this matzah is thin like a cracker because it has no yeast, it has no leaven, it's not puffed up at all. This shows humility, and as you can see, it is striped, bruised, and pierced. There's all these little dots going down the side. So this is a picture of Yeshua because in Isaiah 53:5 it says, "He was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities, and by his stripes we are healed." What an amazing picture of Yeshua. And this is what we eat on Passover. Now, chametz, which is leaven, it represents pride and it represents sin. And Yeshua told his disciples, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, of the Orthodox religious leaders, because they go around full of pride inside of their hearts. They look good on the outside, they have their outfit, they look really holy, but they're like whitewashed tombs that on the inside, it's not as beautiful. And God doesn't want us to be like those religious Pharisees that we put on our makeup, we put on our outfit, and we look good on the outside, but on the inside, there's a lack of love, there's a lack of humility, and there's not that genuine faith that really is impactful when we carry it out and walk it out in the world today. So this word, chametz, actually comes from the word chamutz, which means sour. And so I have an example here. This is chometz balsami, as you can see on the packaging, which means balsamic vinegar, which is really sour. I drenched my salads in this, but we can see that chametz comes from the word chamutz, which means sour. And this is what happens to our hearts when we allow ourselves to become full of pride and full of sin. Our heart becomes sour. And I think we've all known people that tend to walk around with a sour face. They're just kind of always scowling. They always have something negative to say. They're always kind of bitter. You ask them, how are you doing? They say, terrible, or this is wrong and that's wrong. And that is just not a good witness, because as God's people, we should be carrying with us the light of God. And so let's not let bitterness take root in our hearts. It says here, Hebrews 12:15, it says, "See to it that no one fails to obtain the grace of God, that no root of bitterness springs up and causes trouble, and by it many become defiled." You know, Pesach, the whole point of Pesach is we cleanse our home from all chametz. We cleanse our home. Most people do a really deep spring cleaning and get every crumb, every speck of dust out of their home. But this is symbolic of the kind of cleansing work that we're supposed to do in our hearts. And so it's a much deeper symbolic act of what we're supposed to do inside of us to cleanse out that bitterness, cleanse out that sin, that pride, that envy, all the things that might defile us, that cause us to walk through life sour, envious of others, bitter about what happened to us in our past. And so we don't have to wait for Pesach to do this, although God has anointed Pesach as a special time to carry this out. But we can come to God and approach his throne of grace at any time and say, Lord, help me deal with the bitterness and the anger in my heart that I tend to carry, that makes me sour, that robs me from the joy of my salvation, and help change me and transform my heart and help cleanse all that could be defiling me, because we want to be pure and holy as God is holy, as we are temples of the Holy Spirit. And there's something really significant that Yeshua did on Passover, which you probably know of, the story of him driving the money changers out of the temple. He was furious, but why was he doing this? He was doing this right around Passover time. And so he was cleansing his father's house from chametz. He was cleansing his father's house from sin and preparing it for Passover. So let's keep the feast together. This is not just for Jewish people. This is not just a Jewish holiday. It's not a Jewish holiday, actually. It's a biblical holiday. And it's not just for Jewish people. It's for anyone who has joined the family of Israel by becoming a follower of Yeshua and deciding to keep one way, one Bible, one true God, and one Messiah, Yeshua. And so Paul even said, actually, in 1 Corinthians 5:8, he said, "Therefore let us keep the feast," talking about Passover, "not with the old bread leavened with malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread, with the matzah of sincerity and truth."